Are you building a legacy that is worth talking about? Hey, Carl Winn here. The word of the day is cultivate. And cultivate is a farming word to mean break up, prepare. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I am preparing to build a legacy for my 40s. And I'm going to be focused on 7 key areas of how I'm cultivating a legacy that's worth being talked about. First of all, through prayer and through insight and through thinking, I came up with a theme for my 40s, and it's called Building Legacy. And I took it a little further. I made the theme called Building a Righteous Legacy because I don't want to build a legacy. I want to build a righteous legacy, one that is worth talking about, not here on earth, but also in heaven. For my 40s, for the next 10 years, I am focused on building a righteous legacy, and I'm focused on these 7 key areas. One is faith. Simply, faith is my walk with God and my response, my walk with God. Because believe it or not, the Bible is very clear on this is that faith in God produces action. It's not something that we say and something that we believe mentally, but it is something that is seen. It's not about proclamation, but it's about practice. My goal is to live in such a way that my faith has an eternal impact for the next generation, for the generations to come after that. I'm going to be cultivating that. And I'm going to be focused on cultivating that in all areas of my life, and especially in one that people, Christians, get wrong and getting or are getting wrong is my work. How am I going to not integrate my faith into my work, but allow my faith to inform my work? For that reason, a part of my work is that over the next 10 years, my goal is to impact the world. And my vision is in partnership with God, transform lives worldwide. Now, my faith is informing my work. It's not integrated, but it is informing my work. Why? Because what I have identified is that I have a limited time. I want to use my time to have the greatest impact that I can have. And one of the ways to have that impact is through work, through entrepreneurship, through being an employee. That is my goal, to leverage business to integrate or inform my work, allow my work to inform my actions in the marketplace to have a worldwide impact. And so that is my faith. Now, my faith is seen in the next area, which is family. I love my wife and my children. I've been married 14 years, have 5 children. And so my faith is informing the way I invest in my family. That's one of the reasons why we homeschool. That is one of the reasons why I choose the type of work that I have, because my work at this stage give me the flexibility to invest in my family in the way that I believe God has called me to invest in them in this season. And again, I'm not an absent dad when it comes to homeschooling. I take my children to work with me. I am training them in the way that they should go. I'm training them in life. I'm not just giving them content, but I'm giving them the context of life. How do you live out your walk with God in everyday living? That's from the decisions you make, that's from how you handle your diet, from how you handle relationship, your business, all of those things, the conflicts that you have in family. How do you navigate those things? because I want them to be prepared for life. And again, my wife, I'm loving her. So I know that as a homeschooling family, I cannot allow my wife to do that on her own because it is a burden for her when she has to do it on her own. It overwhelms her. And because I love her, I want to step in to make it easy for her. I want to give her a runway for her to flourish. And that's my job. And so that's my family. And so even with my mom and my mother-in-law, I'm investing in their life, making sure that their lives are ready and that they have someone to love them and care for them in their later ends. So that's family. There's three things that most Christians and most people don't want to talk about. They act as if it's taboo when it has the greatest impact on our lives. And these are the three things. One is sex, one is relationships, and one is money. And we don't want to talk about them. But let me say it, money is important, finances are important. And so over the next 10 years, I'm going to be focusing on finances, diving into my finances, building a legacy with my finances, whether that's through how I generate income, because for me, income is tied to my impact. And because I want to impact lives worldwide, I want my income to be way over $1 billion. All of the endeavors that I do because I want to have the greatest impact that I can on the world. And it shows in the income. Going back to what I said with my faith informs my work. And because I want to have a worldwide impact, I know that I need a product and service that's going to allow me to achieve that. That's one of the reasons why I'm recording this video. That's why I write books. That's why I speak, because that's why I create digital courses, because I want to have an impact worldwide. And so that's on the income side, but also investing. What are some great investments for me, right? But also generosity. How can I give? Whether that's through my business or whether that's through not just my business, but also through creating jobs for other people or setting up a foundation. All of those things are critical when it comes to finances. And not only that, but in the way that I teach other people on how to use their finances. Over the next 90 days, I am kickstarting finances, right? I'm kickstarting this financial journey where I'm focusing on how do I really get clear about my finances, how I really leverage finances. That is a part of building this legacy is finances. I got to ask you this question. How are you focusing on finances to build your legacy? How are you leveraging that? Let me know in the show notes, in the comments, what are you doing right now today? What is your plan to make sure that you have a righteous legacy with your finances, whether that's in your business, whether that's with your investment, whether it's with your children? Let me know in the comments, because remember, we can all grow together. And then the fourth area is friendships. Going back to those three major things that people don't like to talk about, but they are really important. Relationships, friendships are important. And for me, I want to build a legacy where my friendships are important. My friendships go deep. It's not just working with people who associates, but I want to have friendships that go deep. People can call me up and say, how are you doing, Carl? What's going on in your life? But we can just hang out together and we can just connect. We can, my children can play with their children. My wife can hang out with their wife. We can just go deep. We can hold each other accountable, create impact together. We can create income together. There's so many things that we can do when it comes to friendships. So my focus is, how can I go deep with my friends, lifelong friends? Because the reality is that all we have in life are relationships. Money comes and go. You can always make more money, but those relationships you have, they are important. And so friendships is an area where I really want to grow. And so I want to look back 10 years from now and say, man, this is my friend. And so one of the things that I've been doing is I've been reaching out to some men that I admire and I like, I want to be around, and I'm asking, I want to be your friend. How can we get together? How can we build a relationship? And that's my focus doing it. And so what I do is I reach out to them and check on them. How are you doing? Do you want to get together for lunch? Do you want to get our children together to ride bikes? And so these are some of the things that I'm doing in order to cultivate friendships, because it's not going to happen by happenstance. It happens through intentionality, through cultivation. And so that's my focus. I am cultivating friendships with people, other men in my life. So let me know in the comments, what are you doing to cultivate friendships? What does that look like for you? Because I want to learn from you. The community want to learn from you. What are you doing to cultivate friendships in your life? The fourth area. Fifth area is fitness. Fitness is so important. I tell my children that when they have children, I want to be able to run with their children. I want to be able to outrun them and play with them and have energy with them. And I know this for a fact is that our diet determines our energy. Our fitness determines our energy, what we're able to contribute. Are we tired? Are we sluggish? Or do we have energy to make the impact that we desire to have? And so for me, my fitness is something that I want to leverage in order to have the impact that I want to have long term. I don't want to be on medicine. I want to be able to go and ride bikes with my grandchildren and my great grandchildren in my 80s and my 90s. I don't want to be on any medicines that are preventable. I can't control everything, but there's things that I control. What does that look for me? I want to be able to move. I know we are made for movement. The things that I'm doing now, as I tell my children and as I'm implementing in my life, routines either refresh you or ruin you. And I want to have routines in my fitness that refreshes me, but also allows me to refresh other people. And that goes back to our fitness. What does that look like? Because I know now in my own family, I have family members who are always tired. They can't run with the children. They can't do things. They can't go walking because they have hypertension, diabetes, sugar, everything that you can say. They can't do anything. And it's because they weren't intentional about their fitness. I want to cultivate that. And I talk about this with my children. I just don't allow them to eat everything, but we talk about what does that look like? Why are you eating this? Why do you want this? Why are you going out? Why are you moving? These are some things that I do, and I model that. If I tell them that we're not going to have this ice cream, I'm not going to eat it because I want to set the tone. Because remember, discipleship is not about content, but it's about context. It's about how are you passing on your life to someone else. And Jesus was the greatest model of someone who discipled. He showed them what they supposed to do. He was the model. He says, if your Lord and teacher does this, you do this. Fitness is a huge part of that for me. Let me know in the comments, what does that look like for you? How are you cultivating fitness in your own life? And then the sixth area is freedoms. I am so thankful that we live in a country like America. Now, if you're watching this video and you don't live in America, then you don't have the same freedoms we have. But listen, as a Christian, the Bible talks about that we need to use our freedoms not for the flesh, but for God. and for serving other people. And so I want to use the freedoms that we have in this country, but also my freedoms that I have in Christ to serve God and serve other people. Leverage those freedom to maximize those freedom, to optimize those freedoms, not for selfish gain, but for service. Because I realize this, that the freedoms that God gives us is not about us, but it's about us glorifying Him and serving other people. I want to use my freedoms in a way that I can serve other people and glorify God. And what does that look like for me? Well, one is that we have a great opportunity in this country to make the greatest impact we can financially through entrepreneurship, through work, through business. And so that's one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm leveraging the freedoms of being able to create multiple business, multiple streams of income, multiple impact opportunities for influence. And so I came up with these 3 P's to help guide me. I want to use these freedoms for transformation. These are the 3 P's of transformation. One is passive impact, passive income, and then positive influence. I want to use my freedoms to create passive impact. That means creating value that continues to happen on and on again. Like this video, it's passive impact. Then passive income. I want to create passive impact for other people so that I can have passive income, meaning that money is a measurement of the impact that you have on other people. And so I want to have passive income keep on flowing because what is showing me that the work that I've put in before is continually to have an impact on other people's lives. They're valuing or benefiting from it. And then positive influence. I want to shape the world around me in a positive way because I know that I'm going to shape it in some kind of way. I want to do it in a positive manner. And so that's positive influence. That is freedom. Let me know, how are you using your freedoms? Put it in the comments because we need to hear from you. What are you doing to leverage your freedoms? What are you doing to optimize your freedoms that God has given you in Christ, but also your freedoms that you have in the country? So we have freedoms in Christ and we have freedoms in the country as Christians. The last F is this: future. I wrote a book called Nothing is a Waste, Leverage the Past, Improve the Future. And let me say, any improvement we're going to make is in the future. And so I want to think about the future right now. I want to start impacting the future now by thinking, by setting goals, by building products and services, by investing in people, by living my life in such a way that I can improve the future. And guess what? God is going to hold us accountable for what the future looks like. Again, He holds the future, but because He holds the future, He gives us the power to create the future. What does that look like for you? What are you doing to create a better future for yourself and for other people, no matter where you stay in the world? You have some autonomy to influence the future for somebody else. I want you to think about this. Innovation builds the nation. What are some things, innovative initiatives that you can push forward to help impact the future? What can you begin to work on today that's going to make the future better and brighter? Because the next generation needs us, right? Next year needs us to show up differently. And that's one of the reasons why I'm recording this video right now, because I want to improve the future. So I'm hoping that if you're listening to this video, that you're starting to think about, how can I cultivate a legacy that's worth talking about and a legacy that's worth living today? Because Tomorrow is going to be built off what you do today. So as I close this video, I want you to start thinking about, what is your legacy going to be? What are you going to do to make the future better and brighter? What are you going to do to improve the future? Let me know in the show notes. What are some initiatives that you're working on? How are you being innovative? How are you using your creativity? How are you leveraging the skills and the abilities that God has given you to make that impact, to make the improvement in the future? Now, as I close this video, if this video was helpful to you, go ahead and like it, subscribe to the channel, and let me know that you've done it in the show notes. And always share with other people. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, go out and cultivate a legacy that's worth living and worth talking about. God bless you. God keep you.